Hello guys, this is Ray Chen from Sales JKD. Today I'm gonna go over what you can do to get customers do whatever you want them to do. Okay, the secrets to get customers to do whatever you want them to do. 10 secrets. Number 1. First, you have to believe what you have to offer to the customer is the best and only solution, the product or service. Because unless you believe it in yourself completely that you can provide the best service or best product to the customer will not believe it. If you don't believe in it, how the customer is going to believe it, right? So I was doing a open house with two of my teammates, and one of my teammate, she was complaining about customers, because she was telling the customer that we were doing open house and we had people came in to look at the home, but the customer, the client that wanted to buy the home, they didn't like this particular home. And obviously we need to help them to find other homes, right? So she was telling them that the buyers that we have the off-market homes that you cannot find anywhere else on the market. But I was overhearing the conversation the whole time, and I can tell that when she says that, you get the feeling that it was just bullshit. Because although she said it, but she doesn't even believe it in herself. So after she spoke to the customer, after the buyer left, I questioned her about the way she spoke to the client. And I said, why were you so unsure about yourself when you were talking to the buyers? Why you had no confidence? So then she said, oh, I had no confidence because I don't have much experience in real estate. I only started in real estate, and that's why I don't feel comfortable when I'm not confident when I talk to the client. But if I talk to my insurance clients, then I'm very confident. I said, you know what? If you are going to continue to talk to with all the future buyers or sellers like that without confidence, you will not get a single deal. So this problem is a little bit more complicated because she didn't even really take the time to study our system, and because she doesn't understand the system. So when she talked to the client, it shows that she's not confident. So no matter what, you have to be confident when you talk to the client, the customer. You have to totally believe your product is the best product or service. So if you want the customer to do what you want them to do, first you have to truly believe in the product. It's best for the customer, right? If you don't even believe in that, why would the customer believe in you? After all, you don't even believe in yourself, right? This is number 1. Number 2. So we help client. So I'm a real estate broker. We help customer buy and sell homes, and for the buyers, when we help them buy homes, first, usually when we first see a couple homes, and when they like the home and when they want to make an offer, usually they want to lowball, right? So let's say if the asking price is $500,000 or $1 million. Let's say if the asking price is $1 million. Sometimes the customer will say, oh, let's make an offer for $900,000. Oh, let's make an offer for whatever. So obviously, if you're gonna lowball 10% of the asking price, that's not gonna fly, right? The seller may even get pissed off. They most likely they're not even gonna counter us, right? But initially, the customer, they don't know the market, so they think that's okay. Then initially they want to offer like that, right? Like a lowball. But then then even though I tell them that this is not gonna work, they're not gonna even counter us, they don't believe in you, right? But until we made couple offers, lowball offers, and all these attempts has been without any result, and we don't even get a counter, and then they realize they get hit by the obstacles, the reality. They see the reality on their own. Then they know that they understand that it's not okay to offer 10% discount price because the seller will just not accept it. Then they would see the realization of how that way to lowball offer is not gonna work. Then they come to the realization, and then from there on, whatever offer we make, they are more sensible. They are more their decision is more logical. So then after that, they are willing to make an offer that's maybe like 950 or whatever, right? So that's what I say. Because you have to prep. Basically, you have to prep the customer in order for them to believe what is real. It's not enough for you just to tell them, right? They need to have that shocking factor. They need to go make an offer, and they need to see that there's so many other people trying to trying to bid for the home, and they need to lose out a couple times before they see the reality, right? So it's the same thing for sellers. So recently, so there are sellers that I have helped. So I have one seller. It was her first time to put her home on the market. I told her, I say, hey, the highest price of the same model sold was $670. So if you want to get this home sold, you need to sell it at a lower price. You need to not to sell it at a lower price, but at least market at a lower price. For example, maybe market at 650,000. I mean, we actually have a way to calculate what's the best initial price to market, but it cannot be you cannot list at a price that's higher than the comparables, right? So the last one, similar home sold was 670. This seller insisted on selling at 690. Obviously, the result is very apparent. So the home ended up on the market for a couple months. The tenant stopped paying the rent because coronavirus, and the customer was outside the country. They had no money to pay for the mortgage. So it is all a mess. But at the end, they think it's my problem. They blame it on me, and then they go change to another agent. So that's just unfortunate, right? And then on the flip side of the coin, I also recently sold many homes where the seller has used other agents and the home wasn't able to sell. And initially they listed the home at a higher than market value price as well. So with sellers like that, because they already been through the trouble, they already been introduced with the shock of the reality, it's much easier to work with them. They understand the market. Their both feet come on the ground. Their decision is much more realistic. That is when it's much easier to persuade them to make a decision that's sensible, right? But to be sure that people cannot really be persuaded. There's a lot of there's a lot of books out there about persuasion. You can persuade all you want unless they see it on their own terms, that what is the right way, and unless they get beat up by the reality, what is the actual correct way to do it. They will not believe what you say. That's why it's very important to let them see and to let them experience the failure, so that their both feet is on the ground, and then they understand what the reality is. So that's what that means. So basically, number 2, you have to make sure they understand the reality. They know how bad the market is. They know the actual situation. That's when they will cooperate with you so that you can help them to get the job done, right? That's number 2. Number 3, if you want the customer to cooperate with you, whatever product or service that you provide, it has to make them feel like they're getting to some places better. They are going to a higher status. I also covered this material, this topic in another section, but it's very important, so that's why I repeat it here again. If the customer do not feel like your product or service will elevate their status, they will never make the decision. They will never go along with you. They will never make the purchase. They will never sign the contract. You will never be able to close them. You have to understand this very clearly. Whatever product or service you are selling, you have to make them feel like they have to believe in themselves, that it's help them to elevate the status by making that decision. And of course, you yourself as the salesperson, you have to believe in that as well, right? Number 4, I also covered this in another section. It's very important, so I repeated it again. The customer has to see value before they will take the money out from their pocket. You have to help them to see value. The value doesn't just come from what you tell them. You have to show it to them, right? For example, so when I was, when I help sellers to sell a home, let's say initially they wanted to sell $700,000, then we have an offer coming at $680,000. It's not enough. I just tell them, hey, $680 is a very good price already. You should take it. That's not enough. So instead of what I have to do, I have to show them similar homes that are sold recently at that price or even at a lower price, right? So a couple months ago, I helped another buyer bought a home in Newport Beach, and the buyer made a very quick decision. We saw the home the same day, and then we make the offer the same day, and we got the offer accepted in the same day. The reason the buyer is able to make the decision so quickly is because I put all the data of recent homes sold, like the neighbor's home sold, similar homes sold. The price was much higher than the price that the seller agreed to sell to my buyer. So let's say if the neighbor's same homes a couple months ago sold for $1.1 million, but the seller in this situation agreed to sell the home to my buyer for $980,000. So I showed those numbers to the buyer, and the buyer is able to see that it is truly a great price, and there is a huge value, huge discount in the price. That's why the buyer is so quick to make this decision. So it's not merely enough just to tell them that it's a good deal. You have to show it to them, right? Number 5 is also very important. So I call it the 10 pillars of selling. I call it the 10 pillars to make the customer, do whatever you want them to do. I call it the pillars. It's because it is truly very important. And if you really remember them, it will help you greatly. It will advance your career very far. Okay? So, number 5, remember, if you want the customer to move forward, you have to remove their risk and obligation. People do not want to be bounded by some kind of contract. People do not want to get stuck in some kind of agreement. So people want to really be able to make the contract without feeling like they're stuck, right? So recently I signed a listing contract with a seller. So that seller was working with a previous listing agent, and the listing agent was really an ass, right? The listing agent was an asshole, right? She was a complete ass. So she had the buyer sign the contract, and the seller. She had the seller to sign the contract, and the seller, but the agent was a rookie. She doesn't know anything. She have never sold a home in her entire life. So obviously the home was not sold. And when it comes time to cancel the contract because the seller wanted to change the agent, and the leasing agent wasn't very willing to cancel the contract. So when it comes time for me to meet with the seller again, the husband and wife, they were very scared about getting into another contract. So it took me some time of convincing to show them that. So actually, in our contract, in our listing contract, we actually have a cancellation contract. So basically, what that tells the client. So I told the client, I said, hey, I know you've been burned before. You don't feel like you are bound to any kind of contract, but be rest assured, with this listing contract, we also have a cancellation you will sign at the same time. That way, whenever you feel like whatever we're doing is not right, you can cancel any time. So that's an example of helping the customer to remove any risk that they might have in their mind and any worry of obligation. Okay. Number 6. So everything we're talking about today is the pillars, what you need to know, what you must master so that the customer can do whatever you want them to do. So number 6 is you have to tailor the result toward the client's personality, right? There's a 4 personality, right? The disc, you have the D, the dominant. The dominant values outcome, right? You have the I, the influencer. The influencer values relationship, and you have the S. The S is the stable type of people. They want to make sure they don't like change. They want to make sure everybody's happy. And then you have the C. C is the cautious type of people. They're mostly engineers. They want to make sure the numbers are correct. They want to make sure the numbers make sense. So for each these 4 type of personality, first when you meet with the customer, you need to firstly decide quickly what type of personality they are. And the easiest way to decide the personality is to figure out what their occupation is, right? Because usually a D type of personality is usually in management, usually a CEO. Influencer type of personality is usually a salesperson, somebody that's in the media relation or sales. And a S type of person is somebody that's maybe a post worker, somebody that values a stable relationship, stable job. And the C type of personality, people that are usually engineers, people that value numbers. So let's say if I'm meeting with a D type of personality, then the way I explain my result and the way I go about my presentation will be focused on the result, would be focused on helping the client achieve the result, because the client is a D personality and the result is very important for them, right? And for the I personality, we want to make sure when we talk with them, we want to make sure they're happy, chatting with us. At the same time, I want to give them what they want. And with the S type of personality, from the result, we have to convey a sense of stability. We have to convey a sense of safety, so that they can feel assured. We have to guarantee, right? We have to guarantee them that we will do it for them, so that way they feel safe and secure. And for the C type of personality, throughout my presentation, I would have to show a lot of numbers, right? I have to show data that substantiate my claims, right? That way, because that's what they click on, that's what they value, right? So number 7, if you want to make sure the customer do whatever you want them to do, the secret to that is that you have to know. First, spend the time and energy to find out. You have to really truly care about the customer. You have to first spend the energy and the time to figure out exactly what the customer wants. And to figure out what the customer wants, you need to figure out why the customer is wanting it, right? And to figure out why the customer wanted it, you have to figure out what made them want to make that change and who made them want to make that change. So this is another whole complete subject, because this is very important. So I'll have another session just to to share with you guys how you get the why and how you get to what. So basically here I'm just telling you, if you want the customer to do what you want them to do, you need to figure out exactly why they're doing it, and then you need to share with them that you can help them to reach their why. If you can do that, then they'll do whatever you tell them to do. Okay. And number 8, once you figure out what the customer wants, you have to guarantee to them, from the very beginning. So because in the very beginning of the presentation, a large amount of time will be focused on figure out the why. So once you figure out the why, then you know exactly, and once you figure out the why, then you gotta get down to the number, to the exact number that the customer would consider goal achieved. So you have to get down the exact number. Once you know exactly what the customer wants, then throughout the conversation, throughout the presentation, you need to tie in your result to that goal, to that result that the customer wants. You have to guarantee it. You need to guarantee it throughout the presentation. You need to tie in your solution to what the customer wants. If you can do that, then the customer will feel that you can help them to achieve their goal. Then most likely they will do whatever you tell them to do. Okay. Number 9, you have to convey sufficiently to the customer that you are not a commodity. You have to convey to the customer that you are the only option. You cannot be just one of the option. If you're just one of the option, and then you're just gonna be a commodity, and it will come down to a price war. So that's what you do not want to get into. What you want to convey is that you're the shit. You're the only service that can get the job done. Nobody else have the resource you have. Nobody else can do the job and get the result that you can get. If you can convey that sufficiently with the customer, then the customer will come to you. They will believe in you, and then they will give you the business. So obviously, you know, just be different and better is not enough. You have to be able to show to the customer, demonstrate to the customer that you are the only person can get it done. Okay. And then lastly, but not the least, is the most important. You have to show and get customer endorsement. So like number 9, we talk about that you have to demonstrate that you're the only person that can get the job done. But it's not just enough you say it, because if you're saying it yourself, it's not believable, right? You have to have many endorsement. You have to have many customer endorsement that you can show to this customer, this potential customer, that you truly, whatever you say is all true. It's not just some kind of bullshit, right? So this endorsement can be in kind of type of form. It could be in written language, it could be in a video, it could be audio. So no matter what, you need to get an endorsement. So every time when you go, when you service a customer, get the endorsement. Make sure they write some good review about you. And then when you go meet with a potential client or customer, then you will be able to show the endorsement that you are truly the best solution, the only solution, that nobody else can compete with you. If you can, I know it's kind of quick, so this is just a summary of what's the most important things you can do to get the customer to do whatever you want them to do. So you know, obviously this is only one section. So in other section of the course, I will go through in detail how exactly you can, you know, make that come true for you. Okay, this is Ray Chen. I'll talk to you guys next time.